Welcome to Soren Pair, episode 14.
Hello.
Say hi to our little friend, Coco.
Say hello to my little friend.
For those in the podcast, you have to see the YouTube to see our wonderful little Coco, who we love.
Our mascot. She just got a haircut. Looking good.
I think it's been like since the first two episodes that we've shown her, so
Yeah.
So she's looking good.
Yeah.
She's a 14-year-old Havanese and
15. She's actually 15.
she's actually 105.
Right.
You look pretty darn good for a 100-year-old.
I'm impressed. I'm gonna put her down.
So,
there you go.
Yes, welcome to Soren Pair. We're excited to be here on this Father's Day edition.
Happy Father's Day.
That's right.
Happy Father's Day to all of you.
And remember, Soren Pair is soaring together to explore new adventures while inspiring others to create their own.
Yep.
And yeah, today we're going to talk about Father's Day, parenthood, fatherhood, and mothers who take their role as a father.
Right.
So, yeah, we're going to have a little fun today and talk about being a dad. So instead of a weekly update, I think we should take a moment and talk about our dads. Your dad and my dad.
I know.
And you just had a conversation with your dad, right?
I did. I had a nice Father's Day conversation with Dad today because I knew tomorrow's just going to be so busy. So my dad is, he's somebody very special to me. He's always been there. And he's just somebody who's, God, I got a little emotional.
Already?
Wow, came right real quick. Yeah, he's just always been there for me.
Right. So. And no relationship is perfect with your parents, with your dad.
Right.
But I will say, since we got together, and all of you know, at least those who've heard our first episode know that, our relationship started, our romantic relationship started under very unusual circumstances.
Yes, unusual. That's a good way to put it.
And your dad, and I want to thank him, your dad, when the rest of the family was judging us and pointing the finger and going, what are you doing? We don't want to have anything to do with you. I'll never forget in a Christmas event, he said, come over here and sit next to me.
Yeah.
And that was a moment where I was kind of feeling like an outsider. This is your family. Yeah. And he basically said, you know what? Screw y'all.
Screw y'all.
Jim matters to me.
Yeah.
And so I want to give props to my dad, to Tom, and thank him for accepting me when everybody else was like, eh.
Yeah.
So
I love that about him. It's one of many things I just love about him is that he's so open and willing to just say, hey, what's up? To just give you a chance is amazing.
Yeah, so how would you describe your dad? If someone would say, well, tell me about your dad, what would you say about Tom doing?
One thing I've always told Dad is that he's a well of useless knowledge.
Hear, hear.
Love you, Dad. No, he's really good. He's so smart. And he's really good at trivia. He knows a little bit about a lot of stuff and a lot about other things. But
I thought you were going to say a lot about
little stuff.
A little about a lot, and a lot about a little.
Wow, this just turned into roasting Dad.
Well, I think it's a good thing, and just so, what does he do?
He's a lab tech in the hospital. He has done that for many, many years.
He's run labs too, right?
He's run labs. He's done, he's worked in a lot of different hospitals, and then he's done traveling, and now he's supposed to be semi-retired, but you know how that tends to work out.
Well, I think talk about both our dads, and I'll talk about my dad in a minute. They're hard working. They come from that generation where they never stop working.
Right. Yeah, that's as long as I can remember. He's just gone, always working.
Yeah. but when I've observed you talk, I mean, you have a very interesting relationship in that you're very open talking with him. It's like you can relax and open up, which is really, I think, a very cool thing.
Yes, he's somebody who was there for me through my pregnancy when it was a very difficult time. He's the one that was there for me. He actually was my coach when Shaylin was born.
Wow.
Yeah. And just, spent hours on the phone just talking and getting to know each other on a different level. So, yeah. I've missed that, but I carry that with me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So tell me about your dad.
So kudos to you, Tom Dugan. And thank you for following I know he's been following every week our YouTube channel. He's been a great supporter. So thank you for that. That means a lot to us. And your feedback is great. I mean, what he told you tonight is that it's like he's in our living room, catching up with us, which is exactly what we really wanted.
Our goal.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he picked right up on that for sure, which made me happy to hear. He said he looks forward to it every week because he feels like he's with us.
Well, leave it to Dad to be the biggest fan.
Right? I know. I love it.
So thank you for that. And talking about my dad, he's no longer with us. He passed away, 22 years ago.
Wow.
Dad had me in his older age. He was in his late 40s when I was born. So I was only 33 when he passed. I always remember Dad with gray hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my dad was born and lived as a young man through the Depression. So he was always, talk about hard work and conservative and saving money. That really was my dad. He worked for Pan American Airways, which is no longer around, for 38 years, which gave us an opportunity to travel. My dad had a really good sense of humor. I remember when we hit his 30th anniversary working for Pan American. Usually you have to be standby and sit wherever in the plane, and usually it would be in the smoking section. So back in the 70s, there was smoking sections on the airplane, right?
I remember.
And I remember a particular flight to Sydney, Australia, from Los Angeles to Sydney. It's a 14-hour flight, at least it was back then. And I sat behind a smoker the entire time. I came out smelling like a cigarette.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
So finally, when we hit his anniversary, I think it was 35th, my mom, my sister, my dad, and I, so 4 of us, we got reserved first-class tickets around the world.
Nice.
And
I'm jealous.
I'm
officially jealous.
This was like 5-course meals.
Mm-hmm.
They put little booties on your feet, and you'd recline up, and you could go up the spiral staircase of the 747 and relax, once they were cruising altitude, and relax in the tables up there. Nowadays, I'm in this little sardine compartment where I can barely, move
Bit
around.
One butt cheek. Yeah.
And it's so funny when they recline back, you recline back like 2 inches.
Mm-hmm.
That's reclining? Okay, I'm going to go to sleep. So very much spoiled. I absolutely loved it. I mean, I tried caviar for the first time. We had, well, I know you don't like caviar, but lobster and steak and, all that stuff. It was really like truly first class, and I loved it so much. I was so excited. My dad, getting back to my dad, he called me first class kimosabe, and he would tell everybody, I was 12 years old, my son is the first class kimosabe, because I ate it up. I literally just drank it up. I thought, this is living,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this is just the way it should always be. So, well, my dad had a great... My dad had a great sense of humor, and he also had a couple great sayings. I remember one of them was, like I've told you this before, the worst pencil is better than the best memory, which I think is good. And he always wrote everything down, I mean, to a fault. Journals and journals and journals of every event of every child and grandchild, and I mean, so he wrote everything down. He also when he retired, kind of became a carpenter. He would go remodel my brothers and sisters' homes, or even add additions onto his home. So he kept working, like we talked about with your dad, with Tom. Just always had something to do. He one of his other favorite saying was, "Measure twice, cut once."
Yeah.
So, but what he did when he retired from Pan American after almost 40 years, he retired, and he actually, of course, didn't want to sit around and do nothing. So he went to work for a piano store, and got to know the piano technician.
Okay.
Learned how to tune pianos, so in his 60s.
Okay.
And when I turned 20, he said, you may need this someday, son. And he showed me how to tune the piano. We spent like 4 hours on the Grand. And my dad gave me the greatest gift, because that vocation of piano tuning that I've now done for 35 years. So, yes, you can add up my age, 20 plus 35. Has been such a great, not only business, a supplement to my income, but it's just been such a great outlet for me. And, to thank my dad for giving me that particular skill.
Absolutely.
That he learned after he retired.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's beautiful. Yeah, and you still use his tools too, don't you?
Yeah, in fact, I have his toolbox that has a pair of his glasses in there. I mean, because my dad had certain glasses, and it has his name printed across. I don't know if you remember those little punch, those labelers, where you punch the different letters out and then stick it on. So there's an old pair of glasses that are now, he hasn't worn them in over 22 years, that has his name punched across, and I keep that in the toolbox that I carry with me every week I go to tune. So I take my dad with me.
Yeah.
But a funny story about tuning, so he taught me how to tune, but then I went to California and I learned from some really, really top-notch technicians how to tune pianos. And so several years later, I was telling my dad how I approach tuning. He goes, "That sounds great. Hang on a second," because he wrote everything down. He started writing down, of course, the steps that I did to set what we call the temperament in tuning. And I looked at him, I said, "So the teacher has become the student." And he just smiled coyly, and but my dad had a great sense of humor. He was such a great example in my life of, working hard, enjoying life. He relentlessly made fun of my mom.
Some of these stories are so funny.
Yeah, we could spend the whole time on Dad, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Bob Sorensen, somebody that still continues to be such a great influence in my life.
I think I only met your dad once.
Yeah. Yes, before we were together.
No, many years before we were together. But I remember I liked him. He was exactly as you described. Just very personable, outgoing, funny.
Right.
Good grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
Just very dedicated.
He just played with his grandkids and played and played and played. And it's funny with our grandchildren, I find myself doing the same thing going,
I can see this
very
much.
I'm just like Dad, and I'm proud to say that, when I, honestly, it's somebody that I respect, and, both our dads, honestly, and I appreciate having a living dad, with Tom, because that was a really huge shift in my life. When my dad passed away, everything changed for me. And so he even gave me a great gift, even after his passing. And so, and he was one of my biggest fans with piano playing. He and my mom were there for every recital, and it was my dad's dream for me to, make it big in music.
Yeah.
And so, I could go on and on. I am going on and on about Dad.
That's okay. That's isn't that the way it's supposed to be?
Right.
Today?
Right, and it's just 1,000 little things that you can't talk about, but it's
that you carry.
But that you carry.
Yeah.
That stay with you, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
I do.
About Tom, about your dad, and so we just wanted to honor both our dads.
Yep.
You know, and thank them.
Yes.
And say, you know, happy Father's Day. And we're lucky to have had dads
Absolutely.
as great as these.
As great as these.
As great as these. So, let's talk about, again, instead of our dads, let's talk about Father's Day.
Let's talk about me.
No,
I
but
saw that.
Yeah.
I like the segue.
So more about me, That's okay. I'm not shy about, I think being a dad myself has been, and continues to be, has been, you never stop being a dad.
No.
I think
It's lifelong.
it really is. And, I think whether we have a biological dad or a father figure in our lives,
Right,
is so crucial for everybody.
I agree. Completely.
Some people, grew up without a dad, and that's got to be tough. I can only imagine. But usually there's a teacher, there's a youth counselor, there's somebody that steps in.
You hope.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And, very much along those lines, as a single mother, is that kind of where you're going? As a single mother, trying to be mom and dad, even though, like my boys, their dad was still in the picture, just not all the time, because we weren't living together.
Right.
So during those other times, I had to try to balance being both, and hard as I tried, there's only so much you can do.
No.
There's only so much you can do, and making sure that the kids have those role models, I think, is really important.
Yeah, you can't just replace a dad.
No, you can't.
I think, and I applaud single parents out there that, single moms that
It's
are
hard.
trying, but, without that dad figure there, it's,
Well, and don't expect so much out of yourself, because, I think I did that, is what I was getting at.
Oh, okay.
Is I kind of expected, I'm just like, okay, I can do this, I can be both. No, you can't. It's kind of a wake-up call to realize that you can't. There's only certain things you can do, and so finding somebody to fill that role is definitely important.
It is. I've been 22 years without my dad, and that's a huge hole in my life, because you still have your dad, and of course, thank you. I get to enjoy him as well. But it's really a big, I think, a gap that's hard to fill.
Right.
When you don't have that. And we've talked about this before, we were both very young parents.
Right.
I was 21 when my first son was born. Without getting into the details, I had a choice whether to raise him or step away, and I don't regret the choice of deciding, you know what, I want to be there.
Right.
And yeah, I named him after myself, James Mark Sorensen Jr., and I had lots of great experiences. He learned piano. We would work on piano together sometimes.
Great musician.
Oh yeah. And all those moments as a dad, I remember. He lived in his own little room off to the side, but there was a little laundry. So when I was doing laundry, because I would usually do the laundry, and he would be walking in and out with his friends, I think what I enjoyed doing more than anything else for my kids is embarrassing them.
It's your job.
It is. So I would be like, watch out, it's laundryman. You're in the laundryman zone. And I would start singing and being this superhero, and he'd be like, Dad.
Stop.
Of course, his friends would laugh, but he didn't think it was funny. So whatever I could do, especially around his friends, to, make
Embarrass him just a little.
Right, just make
Just
him roll his
enough.
eyes. did it also with my daughters is whenever I could. I'll never forget.
You still do that.
I know, I do. I think when Chelsea was 8 or 9 and I was taking her and her friend who was very loud, very, very loud kid. I mean, she would just, yell at the top of her lungs a lot.
Chelsea did?
No, this friend of Chelsea's, Crystal.
Okay.
And so I find, we were on our way up to Castles and Coasters, and I turned around to this friend and I said, you know what? Get it out. I want you to scream at the top of your lungs for as long as you want. Go ahead. And so she did for like a full minute. And she wasn't at all slowing down. And so I asked for it.
Yeah. Careful what you ask for.
I'm like, see? But Chelsea, I think, still remembers that. But I remember one year, I think she was a little younger because I used to take her there almost every year, is that there was like 7 or 8 girls. And by the end of the day, I had gone on every ride with them. They were all kind of hanging around with me. And Chelsea's like, Dad, they're enjoying you more than me. It's my birthday party. They want to hang out with you. Will you stop being, so cool with my friends?
Yeah, that's funny. She's
So,
like, you can stay home next time.
yeah, just drop us off. We're good. Or just hang back there with the rest of the parents,
That's funny.
But yeah, I would always enjoy, just sort of connecting with the friends, because I really felt like through their friends is really how I would kind of see what's going on.
Oh, of course. Of course.
I'm sure you've done the same thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I enjoy getting to know them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, just getting to know who they are.
Right. And what kind of friends they're choosing, and, so some great memories there. With the youngest daughter, Paisley, I remember she had a hard time sleeping at night when she was first born. In fact, laying her down, she would constantly cry. So I literally had to hold her in my arms at an angle so she could sleep. And so I spent the first year of her life with a kinked neck, because we had kind of a short little couch, a love seat couch. And I literally would sleep on the love seat couch and hold her this way, because that's the only way she could sleep.
Yeah.
And so that's what you do as a dad,
It is.
And we eventually got her she needed surgery on her adenoids?
Adenoids.
And she had she needed tubes in her ears.
Right.
Because the pressure, I guess, wouldn't allow her to sleep.
Yeah. That's so painful.
Right. And
That's a hard
she was almost 2 when we finally did that. And I ended up, because I'm a songwriter, I ended up writing her a little lullaby to help her go to sleep too. And she would ask for that when she was really, really young. So
she still asks for that.
So those are some memories. I mean, I love being a dad with my kids. And then
You're a great dad.
Well, and also a funny story with Shaylin. My other daughter, who is my daughter. She's stepdaughter, but she's still my daughter. So on her 16th birthday, you sure you want me to tell this?
I'm out.
It's so funny because her reaction was that way when I did it.
Oh yes, it still is.
So I asked her, what do you want for your birthday? She's like, I want to dress you up and put makeup on you, take you out. And I said, okay. By the way,
I don't think she really thought you would go through with it.
Yeah, and I haven't done this since, but so, this is like 6
Only
years
because
ago.
I threatened him.
So I let her pick out the clothes. I had these, I was a little skinnier then, had these tight, skinny, or the pants.
Leggings.
Thank you. Leggings. I had a cutoff shirt that said "Chasing Boys."
Boy chasing is not a crime.
Not a crime. I had UGG boots.
Yes, it is.
I had UGG boots on that fit me.
And a headband.
Then she pulled my hair back with a headband, and then I had mascara, blush,
Eyeshadow.
The whole 9 yards.
The whole
So she
9.
made me up.
He's not a pretty girl.
I did some poses for them with the
Yeah.
water cooler that we'll just leave to your imagination. And I drove her and my other daughter Paisley to Taco Bell, in which I went in and had a higher voice and ordered them some food. And the stares of the Taco Bell workers, I think, are, probably.
Shay still talks about it. Yeah.
So
he offered to take us all to what? Olive Garden?
Yes, I did. In fact, I threatened Shay on the way back. I'm like, that's the mall where all your friends hang out. Should we go there? She's like, don't you dare. I scared her. But when I came back home and I said, so, Sandy and Shay, shall we go to Olive Garden? They're like, not until you get that makeup. I scared them both.
Well, and trying to kiss me, I was like, no.
Yeah, I think I actually freaked out my wife more than.
Yeah.
But when you're dared as a dad, you call their bluff.
You do it. Yeah.
You do it, and it was I don't think I've ever dressed up since then. You probably wouldn't allow me to, and I really don't have a desire to wear that stuff again. But I had fun playing the role and freaking out you and Shaylin.
Yeah, so. I think that was the concern, is you were enjoying it a little too much.
Well, I mean, it's my best memories with all my kids are, like for Father's Day, what we're going to do for Father's Day today is we're going to play games.
Yep.
I mean, we're going to swim, we're going to barbecue.
Swim and barbecue.
To me, it's not about presents. It's about the gift of spending time and laughing with the kids.
Yes.
And enjoying them and connecting with them, because I think what happens so much with technology these days, they come over and they sit down on the couch and then they start looking through their phone and they keep looking through their phone, and once in a while they'll say something and they're looking at their phone. So to me,
right.
It's like getting them to focus on something else besides the TV or a video on their phone or whatever's going on is a great gift for me, even if it's once a year.
Just to spend time together, catch up. Mm-hmm.
Right, and swim, and to me that's the great part of being a dad, is just those moments of connecting with them and laughing and enjoying and having a good time, and not really, that to me is it. And being a dad too, the opportunity to be an example, and to teach, not necessarily with words, but to teach with your actions and your example, to me is an opportunity, just like our dads did for us.
Exactly. And I think you're definitely paying it forward, and you do take after your dad in a lot of ways. Even though I didn't know him, I know him through your stories and through your family stories. I can see that you're definitely following that same path. You're a really good dad.
Well,
and
I love it. It's just fun, and it isn't always easy, but it's been just such a blast.
Yeah, but you're always there for them, and I think really it's not about getting it right all the time. It's about just being there, showing up.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But one of my favorite things to do as a dad is something that's called dad jokes. I mean, I absolutely love dad jokes. I was reading online, what is a dad joke, right? And the Webster Dictionary actually says it's a wholesome joke of the type said to be told by fathers with a punchline that's often obvious and predictable, a pun or play on words, and usually judged to be corny or unfunny.
And there's a picture of Jim right there.
And so I want to share a few. Of course I have to share a few. It's Father's Day. So when does a joke become a dad joke? Of course, when it becomes apparent.
Oh.
So why are elevator jokes so good?
I I don't know.
They work on so many levels.
Okay.
Why did the guy get fired from his job at the orange juice factory? He couldn't concentrate.
I knew this one. That close.
How about this? Why do eye doctors live so long?
Why do they live so long?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
They dilate.
Oh.
Yeah. What do you call an alligator in a vest?
Fancy.
And of course, an investigator.
An investigator.
Couple more, I can't help it. What did the left eye say to the right eye?
What?
Between you and me, something smells. See, I always usually laugh at my own jokes. Last one, I promise. What did the father buffalo say to the boy buffalo when he went to school?
What?
Bye, son. So, those are just reminiscent of the many, and usually there's puns.
And puns, definitely puns.
Right, and you have to have props too. So you gave me this, but I love I love this, and you'll hear on the podcast what this is. So whenever anything difficult comes my way.
That was easy.
There you go. So every dad has to have an easy button,
right.
In my opinion. So, kid comes over to date your daughter, you grill them.
That was easy.
So, anyway, dad jokes are where it's at. I'm sorry, but it's just
they're made for you. I'm telling you.
the more eye rolls I get and the more groans, the happier I am.
I know.
Especially from my own kids.
Yeah.
When they're around their friends, that's even better.
Well, yeah. I always tell Shay, well, I've always told the kids, that I wouldn't tease you or bug you if I didn't love you. And I love you a lot.
Yeah, in fact, tell a story real quick. I know this is Dad's Day, but how you liked to embarrass Shay?
Mm-hmm.
Like the one time in the store?
Oh. Yeah, it's pretty funny. We were getting ready to go to the store, and I was at home. I was wearing my lounge pants with, big smiley faces all over them, like big emojis. And she just looked at me and she's like, "You going like that? You are gonna change, right?" And I was like, "Not now." So I was going to, but not now. So we go to the store and she's like, "Just stay away from me." So I waited until we were deep into a lot of people and she's keeping her distance. And at the top of my lungs, I went running after her. "Shaylin, Mama needs a hug."
And there you have it. It's just,
Yeah.
It's about the level of embarrassment.
Yes.
Is really, what can we do to...
Don't show me a weakness. Right?
Yes, I think she learned that lesson.
I think so.
Not to say anything. But to wrap this up, a really good quote that we found from Clarence Buddington Keelan about dads. It says this: "My father didn't tell me how to live. He lived and let me watch him do it."
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
And again, our dads,
Absolutely.
that's perfect.
Teaching by example. My dad and I talked about this today.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just teaching others by the example of who you are and how you navigate through whatever situation.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Thank you, Dad.
Awesome.
And thank you, Jim. You're a great dad. Thank you for being a great dad to all our kids.
Actually, it's the joy of my life, and I'm looking forward to enjoying the day with them.
Mm-hmm.
So before we wrap up, a Sandyism I want to share because we always
I
do
almost forgot.
a Sandyism.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just 3 short words. L-A, L-A, L-A. You know, you're like, what's la la la? No, it's not saying la la la. It's la la la. You say it because it's better when you say it. How does it go again?
Like you said.
Let me-
La la la.
And pray tell, what does that mean?
Well, it's pretty obvious, right?
I'm not sure
It
if.
just means I'm happy. La la la.
Yes, and it usually comes out for no apparent reason.
Yeah, I use it rather randomly.
Yes. So, which a lot of your Sandyisms are random.
Well,
They're almost Randyisms. Randyism, Sandyism. So,
tomato. Yeah.
so if in the middle of our podcast you hear la la la, you'll know exactly. Oh, there's another Sandyism.
Yeah, I
so.
could have been having an airhead moment or a happy moment. Who knows? It just, yeah.
Yeah. So.
I'm in a good mood.
Yes. Yes, that's what I love about you. She's usually in a good mood. When she's not,
Watch out.
yeah.
Yeah, I admit it.
No, but again, thank you for hanging with us this Father's Day. We appreciate that. And again, we just want to say we appreciate the feedback we're getting on our Facebook page. Also on our podcast platforms, iTunes, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, podcast app. We appreciate our audience there as well as our YouTube channel. Give us comments. Comment us on Facebook. We will be joining Instagram soon. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yes,
right?
we are. We're getting that set up. And please remember to like and subscribe, leave comments, and we love hearing from you guys.
Yes, and there'll be more la la la,
La.
in future episodes. So everybody have a great Father's Day, and
Happy Father's Day.
we'll catch you next week.